Hello and welcome to Robin's TV Extra Time, where we've been watching Bristol City's 4-0 win over the Spanish side Real Valladolid. It was an impressive win, but can they take that impressive form forward to them to the start of the season next week away at Sheffield United? Well, chewing over the fat with me are two experts. I say that, don't say that lightly. Chris Honor and Lewis Carey. Good to have you in the studio. Chris, you were commentating on the game. What was your overview of that performance?
It was fun. It was really good. It was really entertaining. Brilliant start. Obviously, that helps. But there was some good football played by both teams. I think it was a valuable run out. And I would imagine both teams got some benefit from that. But some of the stuff that Bristol City played was great. And, looking forward to the rest of the season, there's lots to be positive about.
Absolutely. And they're rewarded with 4 goals, Lewis, a couple in the first, 5 or 6 minutes of the game. It's just the confidence boost that the players needed.
It's a dream start for the manager, isn't it? It's a dream start for the debutants, two of the boys scoring, a clean sheet. The confidence going into the start of the season now will be sky high. But I thought there was lots of really impressive things happening throughout the game. All I could see was the manager's style, principles and behaviours coming out. And then to top it off, like you said, the 4 goals and the clean sheets, an incredible start to end to pre-season, start to the new season.
Well, you mentioned some of the principles that the manager wanted, and I think that was shown in some of the goals. Have a look at the first goal Adam Randall got on the score sheet. But before that, it was about the forward running and the forward play. Great little ball round the corner from Jason Knight. Emil Riis gets on the end, the early ball into the box. Mehmeti does brilliantly well then to sell it up to Adam Randall, but he's still got a lot to do. That's a really clever finish, Chris.
Brilliant finish. I think I said in the commentary, I thought that Mehmeti was going to hit it first time. And I thought the chance had gone because he got the ball, he's got his back to goal. But he's picked out a pass, he's fed it into Randall, who's had a decent touch out of his feet, and he's just slotted it away with enough pace to beat the goalkeeper, who's just got a hand to it. It was a really quality finish and showed a little bit of class.
And what does that do for Adam Randall, Lewis? It's your home debut. I know it's a pre-season friendly, but you're at a new club, you're on the score sheet. What does that do for his confidence?
Well, it gives him the confidence and the belief, doesn't it, moving forward? But it's how the goal comes about. It's the ball gets played forward when you run forward, but the 6 is then going to support the play. And I think for him to be given that freedom to do that from the manager and then arrive on the edge of the box and then tuck it away like he did, there's no better feeling as a defender keeping a clean sheet or a midfielder, get a man of the match on your first game or scoring a goal to give you the belief and confidence moving forward. And also what it does is it brings the fans with you. So the fans have already connected with him. So he'll be super pleased with his performance today.
Absolutely. We talked about a lot what Gerhard Struble wanted to bring, and what I think he wanted to bring. Lots of time we were commentating, last season under Liam Manning's team. It's about getting in between the spaces, in the holes, in those spaces between the lines. I think he's emphasised that the likes of Mehmeti and Twine, when it's on, can we get beyond that back line? And I think that showed in this second goal. The forward running, again forward passing. But you can only get forward passing if you get forward running.
I think he's asked them to get the ball forward slightly earlier and get the balls in the box. I think we've got a bigger centre forward target than maybe Naki was a smart, clever player, whilst Riis is just he's got every attribute you can possibly offer him at the moment. He was brilliant today, but going back to that goal, that was a great little finish, a little tuck in. The second goal, which came only minutes after the first, and that was an intelligent ball inside. Again, Twine was patient enough to recycle the ball, and he just fed it into McCrory, who slotted it home. And not bad for a fullback, getting forward into the box.
Well, your wing-backs now, they know that when they get forward, they'll get their reward. They'll do all that hard work. It's a tough old position to play in, but when they get in the box and they time it right, they'll get the reward. Like McCrory got it there. Talking about debutants, it was a home debut for Emil Riis. He kept going, missed a couple of chances in the first half, but eventually, Lewis, he got his goal and he deserved it, didn't he?
Yeah, because there was loads of pleasing things. The run down the sides for the first goal, the way he took the ball as a number 9 and brought people into play at the start of the game. But there's loads to love about this. So when we talk about behaviours and principles, the first one is the high press. The second one is you give the ball where you counter press. And then the third one is numbers in the box. And then to receive, a lovely little toe poke pass, to have your back to goal, go touch, put the ball in the right place, swivel and finish it with your right foot. Again, really pleasing for Reis, and excellent for the fans and teammates to know that they've now got a goal scorer in their team.
Yeah, 3 goals in pre-season now.
It was a clever turn, wasn't it? He was really brisk in what he did. It was behind him, as you said, Lewis, and he got himself really turned really quickly, and it was a confident finish, wasn't it? It was a good, powerful side foot. Yeah, great finish, goal scorer's touch.
Certainly was. And you know what? It wasn't the end of the story. It felt that the game had fizzled out then. But then the subs came on. I thought, you're right, Bo had energy. Sinclair Armstrong showed a lot of energy. Showed that obviously Sykesy came on as well. All players want to come on and prove that maybe they should be in the starting 11. And they made a little impression, especially with this fourth goal. Again, Ross moved over to the left-hand side on this occasion, but ends up in the right place with a finish. I was going to say a simple finish, Lewis, but it's a finish he made look simple.
It did make it look simple. Again, there's loads to be positive about. I think, you could sit on the bench, couldn't you, and watch a really good performance in the first half and have a little bit of a sulk, thinking, the manager knows his team. But all of a sudden, the ball goes out of play, Armstrong gets the ball in quick. Ball gets played down the side, Armstrong chases the pass. Ball gets thrown into the box, and you have a little look in a moment from your boy, like brilliant little feet to put his studs on the ball. The defenders drop off, so he then turns. Awareness there. Look, he feels that the pressure's dropped off. Turn, lovely awareness, nice from Mehmeti as well. And the finish, he just lifts it over the foot of the goalkeeper, the left foot of the goalkeeper that's coming down, and just lifts it over him, bends it in the bottom corner. And again, like we said, when there's wing backs, you need to make the box and you need to arrive in the box. And McCrory's got this habit of arriving within the width of the 6-yard box rather than being sort of in the width of the 18-yard box. And by arriving in those positions, he gets what seems like easy tap-ins, but are very good finishes.
Absolutely. Look, Chris, we had a debate before the start of the game. Myself and Lewis, we had a little argument about the shape of the team. I was going, no, I think it's going to be 3-4-3, and Lewis said, no, I think he'll play a 4. And then I said, I'm right, it is a 3-4-3. But Lewis said, but look, and he pointed this out about their shape when they defend, and he was kind of half right because of you being on that left-hand side. Armstrong became the left back. You see, there's a back 4 in place there. Viner goes for the header. Tanner and Atkinson, drop back, and McCrory is the right back. And you see, is still high up the pitch. So they did actually. Lewis was absolutely right. They did, certainly from longer kits, defenders a back 4.
For me, it's understanding and knowing, the Red Bull model that the managers come through now. If you want to be a high pressing team and you're playing a back 3, you lose a player with a centre back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You lose a player with your centre back. So what you do is you roll into a 4, and it allows then Twine or Mehmeti to move up with the striker, and it allowed Twine to be as a 10, and then it allowed Hirakawa to stay slightly higher.
Yeah.
But the difficulty that did was give McCrory a lot of work to do on his right-hand side. However, it does show there that any time a team does go long and you've got a back 4, you can always create a little V behind, and you're organising your setup, and you've got an extra player higher up the pitch to win more balls.
Absolutely. And the other thing we were debating, Chris, before the game was, where was that finally going to play? Spending a lot of time on the right-hand side of 3, but he was definitely the more central of the defenders today. And there's a reason why. I mean, he defends well, but it's what he did with the ball, which was really impressive, especially in that first 15, 20 minutes, Chris, passing through the lines, and especially finding Scott Twine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, some of his passes, we know he's got all the attributes. We hark back to his early days. We've seen him in midfield, so we know he's got the ability. But he was very decisive, and he knew that Twine and Mehmeti were sat in little holes, or trying to make a little hole behind Riis, and with his authority and his confidence, he was finding those threaded passes through midfield brilliantly, and he put City on the counter-attack really quickly. There's the pass straight through to Twine.
Absolutely.
And I think Twine got a free kick on the edge of the box from this one. But it's great vision, and we know, because he's been at the club so long now. I personally still look upon him as a young man, but he's one of our experienced players now. He's 27, 28 maybe. A fabulous guy, a lovely lad, and I think the players around him now, he's bossing them. There was a time where he was calling Randall back early in the second half. He had Axon coming closer. He was talking to Hirakawa. Yeah, he's running the show.
He is running the show. I mean, we put the second clip in there. Do you know when he kicked it out of play? Because I just pointed out, maybe last season under Liam Manning, that would have been one gone back to the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But he's still playing forward, encouraging, but I think it builds momentum. Even though, you're halfway line, you hear so many crowds go all the way back to your goalkeeper, and it just takes all the momentum out, especially at home. So even though he played it forward, he was still trying to be positive, and he gave it away on that occasion. But he didn't give it away too often. The other thing that Gerhard Struber wants to introduce is pressing. And, we were talking about how do you press in that sort of shape, and it's about the triggers and distances. And we've got just a couple of clips here, one successful, one unsuccessful. I think the first one is unsuccessful, and it's when the Real Valladolid goalkeeper plays it out to the left back. And you see they're high up the pitch and they're looking, and Ross McCrory is nowhere to be seen because he's been pinned back by the left winger on this side. But what he's got to do is release himself. He can't be pinned back and get George Tanner to come across if he wants to get there. So they didn't get it quite right on that occasion. So he made the right decision by staying where he is. This is where they did get it right. And you see the starting position of Hirokawa. He said, look, you take him behind me, I'm going to go and press the ball. And you see like Atkinson then gets around and they get the press right. And I think that's what Gerhard Struber wants to bring to the side, Lewis.
100%. Again, I don't know if it is possible to see those clips again, but it's the positioning. So the positioning of players and where they start and where they stand allows him to do it. But if he wants to be high and he wants to be aggressive, if you watch from here, look, so Twine's a 10, Hirokawa's higher. That means McCrory's coming to a back 4. But he should be in front of his man in that light stripe of grass, right? And then what happens is he can arrive when the ball arrives, and Tanner then is the one who slides, and they all slide and they all move very quickly. Whereas if you watch it when it comes to like the second clip, Hirokawa, if you look, he starts to split the two players, look. So he's not marking any of them. So he can arrive. If it goes over his head, he can close from the front. And if it gets chipped in, he can go in and arrive with the ball there. And he speeds them up. And then we just tidy the ball up from the back and start playing again.
Absolutely. It's about doing two jobs. As we say, by the time, even if Ross McCrory is in front of the ball and that guy's there, if they do play, he can get there and pressurise that ball. And it's about getting comfortable with that. I think that the key to this performance was all about the new players, and all three of them had an impact. Let's start with the keeper. I mean, his presence was incredible, Chris. From the penalty and 6'7", but sometimes when you get a keeper that's that big, a little bit awkward. So many keepers are really big, but they've got terrible feet. He looked well coordinated. He looked really confident. What did you think of his performance?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. The coordination. I expected for someone to be 6'7", to be a little bit clunky and a little bit awkward in his movement. He showed that much confidence in the early stages. He was almost putting a few players under a bit of pressure where he's got such good feet. But there you go. He transfers the ball quickly. He's got no second thoughts about trusting his centre halves, his midfield men. And here he just sprays one out to the touchline. Another, again for McCrory to fight and bat on to keep the possession going. But he had a great afternoon. He took crosses, and again he was just absolutely massive for the penalty that came from that challenge. I remember doing the commentary, and his hands were physically above the crossbar, and then there was this big white glove sat on the crossbar almost, and he won the mental battle there. He intimidated the centre forward, who I think got a little bit fazed by his physical presence. And he had a great afternoon.
He certainly did. And you know what? That just is really key as well. Being in the right position to make the clearance, and his time was absolutely right. A couple of times he got it wrong, when he came out just a little bit too early. But here again, one touch, sprays it left, and it hits the wide left area, gets there. And look at the situation it puts City in. It also puts in a 4-3-3 situation, all from your goalkeeper. And this was the save at the end. And it's an instinctive save, but what he's done is his position. He's got his position absolutely right. And his positional play was excellent. Is everything you want from your goalkeeper on his first showing, he showed. And the icing on the cake was the penalty save.
Yeah, well, but with that one there, that was a great little cross. It's one of those ones which is a teaser for the centre half or the defender, because you don't want to touch it and knock it past your own goalkeeper. And Vitek, he read it. So all he did was close down all the options, all the angles. He made himself as big as possible and got the block in. It was a great little, defensive play. As you said, the only real issues he's had was knowing his centre halves, which ones were quick, which ones slow. He was too eager to come out of his box a few times, but that will come with time once he gets to know the centre halves and the people he's playing with.
But the difficulty with that comment, Chris, we were talking about in the studio, is that when you press so high and you're so aggressive, the keeper needs to be sweep the keeper, doesn't it? And we get it at times. It does look awkward. It does put you, puts the fear in you at times. However, he's going to have to do it. But I think the big thing for me today is the best players make the best decisions more often than not. And
Absolutely.
he played short when he needed to play short. He played long when he needed to play long. He caught the ball, didn't he? We didn't see whether he needed to punch or not. He made saves.
But you also want someone to
with
be
his feet.
decisive, don't you?
Exactly.
Even if
He
it's
did
the
all
wrong
of that.
decision, it's a decision.
Yeah.
You don't want people, faffing around and making you feeling, okay, you see your goalkeeper coming towards you, you get out of the way, and let him clear it. He's done your job for you.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding all day.
Is it unbelievable? 21 years old, he's got.
That was the thing.
Very
Your
bright
goalkeepers are known to mature, a little bit slower than outfield players. He seems to have it all already.
He certainly did. So, someone else who settled in to the Bristol City kit really well was Randall. Hasn't come far from Plymouth, but I was really impressed with this performance. And it wasn't about his goal; it was about his relationship with the rest of the side. And there's a couple of things. Obviously he got his goal, which finished absolutely superbly. But his covering of the likes of Jason Knight, it looks like they've played together for a very long time. They've already developed an understanding. This is on the counter attack, and you see there's his work rate back. And he, not only does he get there, he shows a real pace and determination, and that's what he's been brought into the club to do, Lewis.
Yeah, so you can see they're really well coached, because even at the start of the clip, as the ball transfers, the two sixes will be like neutral, they'll be alongside each other, but as it goes to the right, they'll have what they call ball near six high, and that was him, and he just starts to get high, doesn't he, when it gets whipped around the side of him, and the turn of pace to recover his strength, and then just the composure as well to keep the ball and make short, simple passes was really good.
And this is what I liked about his goal, is because it's Jason Knight who plays the initial ball forward. So Jason Knight is now becoming the holding six. He now can get forward. I mean, it's kind of old school because we're used to playing 4-3-3, having extra men in midfield, only playing one up front. We've gone away from two midfield players, where it used to be one goes, one stays. But I thought that was really good between those two. I mean, a lot of question marks being asked about, McGuane moving on to Huddersfield Town, Adam Randall coming in. I think he looks like a good acquisition, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a straightforward swap upgrade almost on McGuane. McGuane came in and did great last year on a few occasions, but maybe Randall's a younger upgrade on McGuane, and that's what it's all about, improving your squad and your players that you have on the field. And he had an excellent afternoon, and to get a goal is the icing on the cake. Absolutely. And it showed a little bit of class. How he just stroked it past the goalkeeper with enough speed to meet to break the hand and get it in the bottom left-hand corner.
I want to finish with Emil Riis, because he eventually got his goal, and because what has impressed me, and if we go through his clips here, he missed a few chances. But as a centre forward, you're going to miss opportunities. These a couple of chances in the first half, headers, great movement to get free. He's nowhere near being marked. Because his movement's was excellent. Disappointed with the finish. Can work on that. And then again, he pins his centre half, gets the first contact, and then he finds himself in the box again. His movement from this position is terrific, because he goes into a position where the defender doesn't like where he is. He can't see him, doesn't know where he is. Defender turns his back the other way. That's when he comes across him and gets another free header. And you're thinking, he'll be disappointed. His head's going to drop. But look, he's an experienced campaigner, and he is disappointed. But he used that to keep getting in the right areas. And this did make me giggle at the start of the second half. Again, it's a lovely little run. This time he's not far post, but he knows where the space is, and he kicks the ball off this one foot. But he's in a good place, and you can have a little giggle and a laugh at himself. But as a centre forward, you have got to keep going, and that's what it's all about. It's about dealing with disappointment. I know it's a pre-season friendly, but I just think this bodes well, because in the end he gets his opportunity, and he gets his reward, and he gets his goal. Because that's what he'll be judged on. He will be judged on goals. So really pleased for him. The rest of the players really pleased for him as well. And so I think he's going to be an excellent acquisition.
Do you think the boys in the dressing room, we're going to let him know about that left foot swinger he missed?
Absolutely. He'll be on TikTok. He'll be everywhere. But I think he's experienced enough, and he's big enough.
But were you impressed with? I mean, you just mentioned some of his runs, and I was going to ask Lewis, but. A couple of those runs was as if he was disinterested, and then he made that little darting run, and the one that he got under and went flying over the crossbar. I thought that was the most clever one, because he took a little sideways glance and then he made the run, and then the second one came and he got a better contact, and although it went over the crossbar, you could see there's a real striker in there, and I got a little bit excited, because we haven't had a target man for a few seasons now, someone that you can toss in the box and you can just curl them in when you're under pressure, or even when you've planned it well and you've overloaded the areas. He attacks it. He gets in front of his man. He makes those darting runs. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, he did
Really excited.
really well. But I mean, the big question now is how does this bode for the coming season for Bristol City and Gerhard Struber? Lewis, off the back of what you've seen so far, what are your expectations?
I think you used a brilliant word, didn't you, when we were listening to the commentary about being encouraged by the performance and the result. I think there's definitely a place for being encouraged, and I think we alluded to it at half-time. The Championship this year is going to be incredible. I think the 3 that have come down from the Premier League and the 2 that have come up from the league below are going to have a huge impact. The 2 that missed out in the playoffs, and there's 2 or 3 outside of the playoffs like Middlesbrough and Norwich who are going to push. So I think it's going to be a huge challenge to finish anywhere near where they finished last year, i.e. the top 6. However, when you see performances like this and how I know how the manager wants to play, you'll pick up a lot of results against them, especially against teams who want to play out from the back. There'll be a lot of pressing triggers they'll look for, and they'll create a lot of chances, opportunity. And then to add to that, my only thing for the manager would be he's going to want a little bit more depth in his squad. That when Riis does need to come off, when Randall does need to come off, who's going to replace these lads and keep the team at the level that they were at today.
Okay. And Chris, what are your expectations?
Yeah, really encouraging. I loved Riis. I must admit that there was we all saw him play really well against us last game of the season for Preston, and that boded well. But having seen him this afternoon, that was excellent. But Lewis has hit the nail on the head again. It's the depth in the squad. I would like to see someone else up front. I'd like to see. I've got a shopping list, but I'm sure my wife sends me out for shopping lists and I don't always get it right, so I know I might not get that shopping list. But listen, it's encouraging, and 4-0 a week before the season starts. That's brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a good day at Ashton Gate, and it has been encouraging. Maybe the depth will come from the young players within the academy, the young players, the Armstrongs. Maybe they'll start to show what they're all about, and Gerhard Struber will not have to go into the market. But what I do know, everybody's looking forward to Sheffield United away next week. Well, we'll see you there for more Robins TV Extra Time. So we'll see you next week. Take care.